My helicopter had a single flight mission one day to take a lieutenant artillery observer to a canal line toward the Cambodian border. Single flights were always a dangerous proposition. But what wasn't in this country while flying around in a favorite target of the NVAVC? We stayed at about a 1,800 feet elevation, and arriving at the canal flew lower to see evidence of footprints in the mud and vegetation crushed by human traffic in an area heavily occupied by the NVAVC. We also saw some sampans pulled up under some trees. My gunner and I started to shoot holes in the sampans when we started to receive fire. We quickly flew up and away. If we were shot down here, we would certainly be dead one way or another. Many times on reconnaissance missions, we would start to fly before the sun rose in the morning. As the sun rose, the sun would light up the ground at an acute angle, which would make the morning dew on the grasses and other vegetation be of a different prismatic color if it was disturbed overnight as compared to the non-disturbed vegetation. We were tracking what occurred overnight by prismatic paths through the vegetation. Free fire zones were supposedly where we could shoot anything that moved, but we didn't, as sometimes civilians would be walking back to their ancient village grounds that they were forced out of, usually by the South Vietnamese Army or the Americans. In free fire zones, we might drop a red smoke grenade in an area where the colorful path ended, or put a burst of bullets near the area. We would usually be then shot at by whoever was in there. Many times the NVAVC would try to straighten the grasses out behind them that they crushed on a night move to foil any attempt to track them. It did not work when we reconnoitered in the early morning on a sunny day. Sometimes we would be tracking animals other than human, usually a water buffalo. Anyway, as we flew a distance from the canal line and gained altitude, the artillery observer tried to do his work, calling in an artillery strike on the canal line. He called in 155mm and 175mm artillery, of which none came closer than a mile from striking the area. The crewman in the helicopter had our radios connected to both the AO, artillery observer, and to the artillery batteries he was speaking with. He kept commenting on how well the artillery was decimating the area of the canal and that they were scoring a good body count. They were not coming close to anything and were just wasting ammo. My AC asked the AO why he was lying about the whole situation, and the AO said that it made the guys shooting the artillery feel good. My AC told him that was not right and that he would report him. We had a regular dispute going on in the helicopter. The whole crew agreed that these kinds of lies were totally disgusting. A body count would make the AO look good and would be an official phony body count that all of us knew was going on in Vietnam. Many times we would read in the Armed Forces Stars and Stripes newspaper put out in Saigon how a certain infantry company was credited with a certain body count that never existed. We knew better because we participated in the battle and knew the real outcome. Just for instance, a company was credited with 43 enemy dead and no mention of American casualties. When American casualties were 4 dead and 17 wounded and no dead enemy left on the battlefield. The 43 enemy dead was an estimate. True, the dead may have been pulled back by their comrades as they do most times, but who in the dark of battle can tell how many enemies were killed? When these phony body counts are added up all across Vietnam, who can tell what is happening for real? We reconnoitered more area but did not see any enemy as they stay very well hidden during the day in the woods, which was fine with us. Air Force jet airstrikes flew out of Tan Son Nut Air Base near Saigon and were used primarily when infantry outfits, base camps, fire support bases, or other friendly bases were in trouble. They were on call and it seemed airstrikes were in short supply. My AC did report the false AO report for what it was worth. We do not know what the outcome of the truth was except that it was the right thing to do. No one can trust a person who lies, especially in combat when the truth is imperative for staying alive. Lying should never be accepted behavior in any circumstance as far as we were concerned, and should be punished severely.